I don't want this to sound like a strange question, but I've been thinking about it a lot. So,
Mm-hmm.
one of the times when I was asking you a question, you were saying that it was possible to receive back your barothary gland.
Sure.
And so you made it sound like there are beings or entities that are going to give us back our barothary gland. So who specifically are those beings that will be helping us to receive our barothary gland back and basically give us a DNA upgrade? Who are the beings that are going to do that for us?
Okay. Again, remember with Wu-Sabat, when you speak like us, we have to be very clear on who we're talking about when we say us. And we have to make sure that the listeners also know what we're talking about when we say Barathary gland. Okay. I said it would be reactivated or reinserted. And that's because it was surgically removed. And when you to answer your question, you have to be worthy first of all. Like everybody would like to have it because of the capabilities and the powers that you receive once you get it. However, that power comes with great responsibility. And before you even make the grade, for a lack of a better word, to get it, you should be focusing on what you need to do to get it. And what you would need to do is to first of all apply Wu-Sabat. And when you apply Wu-Sabat, it means that you're actually living it. And that involves you changing your total mentality, your mental state, because your mind is what governs your actions and what you do. So, of course, the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, doesn't leave any stones unturned. So he actually gives you the the formula or the medicine, if you like, to do that. So this scroll called the mind, you have to first of all take that in, because the mind will make you think properly, and then you can start to act properly. Page 30 of this. Okay, cool. So what I'm saying is you have to start thinking correctly, and that means like we've been dumbed down. A lot of people have been basically bamboozled, meaning that they've given you falsehood for truth, lies instead of truth, and a lot of people don't really know what's been going on like for the last 6,000 years. And so the first thing is that we have to give you the information, the right knowledge, which gives you the right wisdom, and then on your way to right understanding, and then using the mind, you start to basically do what we call right sound, right reasoning. Okay. And so that's what the sound right reasoning is, when your mind is right. But if you look at if you have this book, classic again, Man from Planet Risk, you hear a lot of people talking about this scroll. And if you go to page 30, right, it explains about what the barothary gland is, how it was removed, and what the power that you get. So the highest senses that you get from having your barothry replaced is the telepathy, clairvoyance, intuition, psychometry, right? And it says these are higher senses. These higher senses are what connected you or enabled you to communicate to the, it says here Elohim, but we know that this book was published a long time ago. But what we're really talking about, connecting you back to the overseers and the beings that exist on higher dimension and higher realms. And the whole process of getting to that stage is to start from the lowest first, which is when you look at what people call the chakras. The chakra is it's a Hindu word, but really what we're saying is that you have to activate these glands and overcome the lowest one, which is the desires and the things that are holding you by way of like lust, by way of physical desires. And when you activate that one, i.e., you take control of your carnal desires, then you go upwards and you start to activate all of them until you get to, most people show you 7 because they didn't know until we, by way of Partner Babylon, started to explain that we being 9 ether beings, we have another extra 2 that are outside of your physical body. So the 7th one being the one that a lot of people know about, the pineal gland, which works with the pituitary gland. That's when you're activated to open up and have a more your when it's not calcified, meaning that it's open for you to receive more information. Okay, but as Nagaru, we have 8 and 9, which are above or outside of your head or your physical body, but they're all a part of you because these 9 seats are connected to the 9 realms or the 9 different. People get confused between when we say realms and we say dimensions and we say planes. All right. So let me try and clarify that. So you have realms, and within those realms, you have different states of vibration. Okay. And this would be termed like planes, in the sense that I've used this example many times. You can have a color, but you can have millions of that same color or variations of that same color. So when you look at the chakra systems, or you look at anything to do with vibrations and frequencies, such as the electromagnetic spectrum or even the visible light spectrum, even colors, when you use the primary colors to make other colors, you're able to see there's a range, and it normally starts from red, because red is dealing with the kind of lower vibrations of the carnal desires, all the way up to when you start to get to the higher vibration. So things like yellow will be intellect, white is very spiritual, blue is spiritual, until you get to what we call, what you see as violet or purple, even when you look at the rainbow, right? So you go from the lowest to the highest, and then beyond that to what we call darkness or supreme balancement, or what we call triple darkness. So going back to your original question, it's not just as simple as, oh, we're just going to get our Barathary gland. There's work to be done where you have to turn yourself inside out, raise your vibrations, change the way you think, start to put Wu-Sabat into action, and then once you're deemed to be worthy, the elders will then reinsert it or reactivate it if it's already there. And because we know that it's there, because even though it was removed, they had to take care not to damage the nerve endings. So parts of it are still there. This is why people who want to like experience having the esoteric or the higher vibrations, some people will take drugs. Some people like take all kinds of intoxicants and try to induce it, but it would only last for so long. But when you get the Barathary gland, it will actually be permanent and gives you full access to use the power of your brain. So most people use less than 10%, and when you have full access to it, you start to even use what people know or call junk DNA. So there's a lot to it, and the word bara, obviously, the word Genesis, right, in the Bible, is the original word in the Hebrew will be barashith. You can hear the word bara and bara, which means like to reconstruct or to replenish or to start again. And so when the Barathary gland is replaced, it will be replaced by the elders. The master teacher, Partner Babyanun, is one of those elders. He is the keeper of the list or the records of who will be on that list. And it's not just about, it's not just about lip service. It's actually about you transforming yourself and doing the work. So it says on page if I just read from the last paragraph on page 30 and on to 31, it says, the word bara, which means beginning of a thing or to bring about to a new, all right? It was removed from the hippocampus area, which is located in the cerebellum region of your brain. The Barathary gland worked with the appendix and the tonsils. The removal of the Barathary gland cut off your four higher senses: telepathy, clairvoyance, intuition, and psychometry. Then it says the hippocampus, whose purpose is not well known to modern science, is the tissue which held the Barathary gland when it was once inside the brain. Then there's a question. Yanun, when did you come here? Or that kind of goes into another section, but it says, I, Yanun, came once on Tuesday 12th, midnight, 26th of June, 1945 AD, to see which human seed I would be planted in and to reinsert the Barathary gland in the child, right? And it shows the diagram of the submental area, which is here. Sub deals with underneath, because originally it was up there, but now it's going to be placed in the submental region, and then that reacts, or that which works with the brain, right? So it goes on to say the weather filled with an overcast of clouds and rain was a perfect cover for our mission. We did not reinsert his Barathary gland in the hippocampus area of the brain this time, but in the lower part of the chin, referred to as the submental area, meaning the sub or lower, and mental, that which reacts with the mind. Yeah. I could go on,
Yeah.
but you really need to get hold of this scroll called Man from Planet Risk, and that will give you more information. Did that answer your question?
Well, I'm just wondering as well. So completely, all of the beings that are responsible for our ascension and for us to receive back our higher DNA, all those beings are Negroid, right?
No, what we're saying, we have been assigned one who's Partner Babyanun. His job is to come here to guide us, to upgrade us by way of giving us this knowledge back, because most people were caught up in the monotheistic religions, the spell of Kingu for the last 6,000 years, the spell of ignorance, racial blindness, not knowing who you are. Of course, he was sent to the Negroid race, but every other race also has had their own warners sent to them. So you look at even like Joseph Smith, right, of the Mormons, he was sent, and he speaks about being called what's his name, Jerome. But yeah, everyone has had someone sent to them. But what's happened is that we are the last. It says the first shall be the last and the last shall be the first. So when you're saying the beings are, or the being is Partner Babyanun, but he is a part of a council of beings, right? There are different councils, like the council of nine. Then you have the 24 elders. You have beings that work together, and he's been assigned as the being sitting in the last seat, known as the 24th, right? Because it's a beginning of the new 24,000 year cycle. Yanun is the 19th elder, but he's now sitting on the 24th seat because he's the renewer, the reformer. Yeah, we can go on and give you more and more information, but he's the being that's here. He's the being that everyone has been prophesizing and speaking about. And he's here, been here since 1960s, opening the seventh seal officially from 1970 AD. A lot of people are still catching on. But those of us who have been walking with him, we know by his works that he is who he is. And he's that living Messiah, the living black Messiah. Many other people, many other races have also beings that come for them. There are beings that are coming here for all kinds of things. Some of them have got some agendas which are not going to be safe for you, in terms of, beings come here for many things. Beings have been living on this planet for millions of years. Some come here for shopping, some come here for food, Some come here to hunt for recreation. Some come here to exchange information. Some come here to trade, different information for different things. There's so much. It's not as simple as, it's just that this information was hidden for a very long time. And it's only, for some people, it's only recent that they're starting to get exposed to UFOs and UAPs, they say unidentified aerial phenomena, and they're now starting to give you something called disclosure. Millions of people around the world have had encounters with being abducted by different types of extraterrestrials. We've done videos to show you the various extraterrestrials that are living in the caverns in the earth. This is, for some people, is new information. For others, it's not. It's just that it's been hidden. And people say, how do you know what these aliens look like? Well, Partner Babylon is an extraterrestrial. It's not every extraterrestrial looks hideous like what you see in the movies, and they call them, aliens and so forth. So you can Google 1945. From 1945, you see crafts over the White House. This ties into the.
I want to know something.
Go ahead.
So you're saying that he's an extraterrestrial Negroid?
Yes, I am saying that, but the term Negroid just describes. Look, there's a book called My Brother the Extraterrestrial right here, right? This is the book that was published, probably, I think this is like going into 2000, 2001, around about that time. And it was written by his beloved sister. Yeah, right there. That's her right there. Okay. That's our Kamantat. Yeah. Mut Patah Waret Atumreye. That's his sister, right? She put this book together from her visits with him since his incarceration, and explaining, having grown up with him. You remember, she grew up with him from childhood to now, and explaining how he's an extraterrestrial. But I mean, the works speak for themselves. But yes, to answer your question, if you want to use that term, is a Nagar Nadu.
Okay. So there are other Negroid beings out there in space.
Okay, let me explain this. You are one. We are all extraterrestrials. It's just that most of us, those who haven't yet come to the terms that when you say you're an extraterrestrial, we break this word down continuously. Extra just means in addition to something, addition to the terrain, or this planet was once known as Terra. So when you're saying extraterrestrial, you're talking about something that's coming from outside of the terrestrial, coming from the celestial into this atmosphere, into this being. Now, when you go to the Bible, the Quran, and all these lesser mysteries, they didn't really have the full knowledge or understanding of what extraterrestrial were. So they gave you stories about angels, about gods, and these gods are somewhere called heaven, and they come from above and they come down. And most of the stories in the Bible about extraterrestrial, they talk about, Daniel, they talk about Ezekiel's will, they talk about chariots, they talk about the books of Revelation with the crystal city, they talk about angels like Michael and Gabriel. Even Muhammad was visited by an angel called Gabriel, or they say Jibril. All of this is to tell you that the part of you, right, that's not from here, because it also says that God breathed into man and man became what? You're a living soul. When you deal with soul, soul is energy, right? And there's a soul realm, and that realm is one of the 9 realms I mentioned before. You have to tap in or activate this, and once you start to align and activate these centers, energy centers within you, to make you a complete full being, which you are, a light being, because you're what we call etheric. You have another level of you called the ether, right? Ether is what connects everything and keeps everything glued together, called tachyon energy or gluon. That's what it is. And what it is people who have activated their powers, and it's like a remembering tool to remind you of who you are. Then you start to live and be the god or the god and goddesses that we are. But a lot of people have been given these doctrines that keep you subdued, keep you bound by the spell, keep you afraid, keep you not wanting to really know about the real you. And that's what you're talking about when you say an incarnation, like you're reactivating the God genes within you. Not everybody has them. Not everybody has the ability. Not everybody wants to even, accept this knowledge. So it's down to the individual in terms of when you hear the tones, if you are one of those children, one of those people that resonate with it, the master teacher says he's come to find his children and to teach them and to get them to the point where they can receive their Barathary gland if they're worthy, and then return home if they're able to make it. So, this is a very serious thing, and truth is truth. That's why truth is what's going to make you free, nothing else. In the Bible, they say set you free, which sounds like, or again, it's a trap because it makes you think somebody has to come and do it. Because if you say somebody has to set you free, then you're waiting on someone to come and do it when you have the ability to do it. And this doctrine, Wu-Sabat, is what's going to help you do it. So you're going to make yourself free, because the helping hand that you're looking for is at the end of your own arm. You see, so Wu-Sabat is not just a dip you in water religion and then now you're like, oh, I'm born again. And then there's no progress, there's no change. You're still following dead stories, dead books, things that are not really progressive, dealing with divisions and dealing with, suppression and all that kind of stuff. So Wu-Sabat is here for those who are really about getting in tune with their real inner being. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.